Hey, longtime listeners, it's your old buddy Shades here, and I want to tell you about the brand new Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch Kids Club for adults who are basically still kids at heart. Okay, let me tell you about this. Do you remember tuning in every Saturday morning to your local Fox or WNAC affiliate? Mine was Fox 64. And I tuned in every Saturday morning with glee. Saturday morning cartoons were a source of existential joy for me. And they upped their game with the WNAC 64 Kids Club. I remember mailing in, getting my welcome kit. I got an incredibly well-made gold-plated holographic membership card that's more robust than some of my current adult credit cards. I still have it. Got a decoder ring. Didn't decode anything. Trading cards for my favorite cartoons, and monthly mailers that dovetailed with the branded interactive content that aired during the commercial breaks. Genius. So after 2 years, we thought it was about time to create that experience for our very own and start our Geeking Out Kids Club. We've got a whole bunch of swag to share with you when you support the show over at www.patreon.com/shadesansketch. At this level, a 3-month commitment will mail you your very own Geeking Out Kids Club member pack. Guys, you're going to get a unique 8x11 poster. You're going to get trading cards. You're going to get a membership card. And quite frankly, Sketch really outdid himself on the design for this one. Think Blockbuster meets Sequest. So head on over to patreon.com/shadesansketch. Guys, we're a fan-supported show, and you're helping us keep the lights on in the GoCo, and we want to go the extra mile for you. So one more time, that's patreon.com/shadesansketch. Head on over and get your very own Geeking Out Kids Club member pack today. Guys, don't wait too long because supplies are limited.
Oh, hello, I'm Sketch.
And I'm Shades.
And this is
Geeking Out
with
Shades and Sketch.
We gotta go fast.
Very fast.
Gotta go
Faster.
fast. Guys, every time you join us in our GoCo, our Geeking Out Command Outvoice, as we travel the multiverse.
Under our
Shades.
Mandalorian helmets, of course.
Under our Mandalorian helmets when we are visiting our universe,
Yes.
of course. Shades, where are we parked this week?
Oh, Sketch, I'm glad you asked. We are holed up, bridled, you may say, right outside the Piston Pit, somewhere in the outskirts of the American Midwest, on the long road to San Francisco.
Like a roadhouse, like a biker
Yeah,
stop.
all it's missing is Patrick Swayze.
Some good chili dogs, I hear.
Yes. Wings,
And,
although they are always delayed.
We're waiting on the
We
wing.
are.
We are sitting outside at a picnic table because inside they are still cleaning up.
Yes.
Some sort of kerfuffle.
Lots of broken glass.
Lots of broken glass and toilet paper and chili
But
dogs.
whoever goes in there next is going to have a real difficult time.
Yeah. Oh, what?
What's,
Do you hear?
what is lumber?
Is
Hold
this?
on. There, my helmet's on
Oh,
straight
it's-
now.
It's
Tim
Tim
Hoshi.
Hoshi.
I found the way out.
He just stumbled out of the GoCo, everybody.
Where did you come from?
I've been in the GoCo.
You've been in the GoCo since episode 15?
For how long?
I don't know. Since we said goodbye, you wouldn't send me back through the gate. I haven't been able to find the front door. I've been following
Oh,
this
that is
awful,
the problem with the GoCo.
awful car noises. No offense.
Have you been in the garage?
No, it's whatever was going on out here is echoing through my armor. It's driving me crazy.
Oh,
My-
it'll do
my-
that.
All it took was a roadhouse
My
to be your beacon.
my helmet was on the mantle for a little while. I kept trying to get your attention. but
Oh,
you guys-
we had to make room for all of the other cooler things that
was
we've
dusty.
acquired since then.
It was dusty
We've
in that
also been
bin.
disinfecting everything.
That is the lemony sweet smell of Lysol in your domium that you smell.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't smell anything. It
Oh.
feels musty.
It's probably for the
Yeah,
best.
Well, Tim Hoshi, considering you're joining us here at the Piston Pit, we are about to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog.
All right.
Would you like to discuss Sonic the Hedgehog with us?
Would I? Sonic. Oh man, Sonic is one of like the staples of my childhood when I was in less armor.
Well, how fortuitous
This worked
then
out so
that
well.
you happen to stumble out right now. Before we get into it, do we have a theme song this week?
I believe we do.
Oh boy,
Quite the theme song.
Sonic. He can really
We
move.
move.
Sonic.
He's got an attitude.
Sonic. He's the fastest,
He's the fastest thing alive. Perfect.
awesome.
Perfect. So, guys, if we are talking Sonic, we're going to spoil potentially everything Sonic, although we are going to focus on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Certainly the movie, and most likely as many of the video games as we've played, potentially some animated series.
I have a lot to spoil, specifically my tone on that song. But
One of the difficulties of this post-COVID world is synchronization. It really plays with your inner ear.
I don't have an inner ear anymore.
That
I
explains a
also
lot.
don't think we're post-COVID yet.
That's sure. Yes, correct.
Mid-COVID.
Mid-COVID.
Yeah.
Post-normalcy.
So, what should we start with? Should we start with our personal histories with Sonic the Hedgehog before we get into the actual history?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Sketch.
Guest goes first.
Goes first.
Okay.
Tim Hoshi, what is your personal history with Sonic the Hedgehog?
My personal history with Sonic the Hedgehog actually doesn't start with the video games. It starts with the very first animated series from 1991. Love that series, but what really got me into Sonic and the games was the next animated series, The Adventures of Sonic, when they're in that world that's already been taken over by Robotnik. And then we jumped into the Dreamcast. I played all those games. I won't get into the lore of those games because, I mean, they're just games at that point. Lore doesn't really come in until later. But
yeah, if you didn't have the booklet in front of you, you never knew what the lore of any video game was.
Oh, there's so much more to it. It just like back in the days, there used to be Sonic comic series. I think it had something like 200 issues.
Yep.
I never saw those, but I do have some fun facts for you guys later from them.
Oh, cool.
And the major history for me is, it came really when it was Sonic Adventure Battle 2, which is still a mouthful to say. That really brought me back to the Sonic as an adult. And then
That was on GameCube?
that was on GameCube. It actually was a port to GameCube.
That was one of my favorite Sonic games ever.
Is that the one where it's like you have all three characters and it's like the trailing view over the shoulder?
Yep. No. I know the one you're talking about, where you have all three characters that you're playing at once.
Yes.
And no, it's the one where each level you're a different character. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim Hoshi.
I'll let you know.
But obviously the speed levels are Sonic's, and there are levels with kind of like flight gliding mechanics where you'd be Knuckles, and there were others that were mech based. And you either played through as the heroes with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, or you played through as the villains with Eggman, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Rogue the Bat. Am I right, Tim
Yes,
Hoshi?
I have no recollection of that game.
Oh,
That game was
the best.
excellent.
Not only was it just a fantastic game, it was the soundtrack to it was.
Soundtrack was amazing.
I still listen to it. So that really brought me back into Sonic. And then after college, there was Sonic X. And then
a series, right? That was a series?
The TV series, but it was based off of Adventure Battle and Adventure Battle 2. And then I don't know what happened to it.
I remember that series being out before we went to college.
That was probably when I got to watch it.
Gotcha.
After college?
because that's when I actually had TV.
Gotcha.
And then I fell out of the gaming environment for Sonic again because the games were just plain awful. And my most recent history with Sonic is the Sonic movie. I didn't get to see it in theaters, unfortunately. The little tiny suits of iron at home kind of get in the way of that sometimes. However,
you got to fix that codpiece. It's loose.
I keep trying, but the bolt is stripped.
That's one way to put it.
There's an image. Oh my goodness.
I know what you're talking about. It's just the suit of armor now. But I when it came to Amazon, I immediately bought it because I wanted to give the creators my money because of what they did for us when they remade Sonic's image a second time.
Sonic Gate.
Yeah. And that's where I am. And I've watched the movie 4 times since then, and I bought it last week.
There you go.
Okay. Tim Hoshi.
Gotta go fast. Great job.
Sketch, what's your history with Sonic the Hedgehog?
My first memory of Sonic, I think, was a friend of mine had the Sega Genesis. I also had Sega Genesis, but I didn't have a Sonic game. But he had the second one. Is the second one when Tails came in?
Sonic and Tails.
So he had that one, and we would play that one together, and he'd let me borrow it. And I thoroughly enjoyed that game. It was just so vivid. The colors were just popping all over the place. I loved that game. And then there was another Sonic game that was kind of like almost 3D. It had almost like pinball aspects to it, where like you'd go to these bonus rounds where you'd have to avoid these big red balls. I don't remember which Sonic that was, but I have very vivid memories of those levels.
You've actually already named the title. I believe it was Sonic 3D.
Sonic 3D.
Oh, perfect. Well, I played that one too. And
I tried to not remember that one because it made me sick.
That might be but you got to admit that was like new.
It was new.
Yeah. Then I didn't play one again, and probably until the Sonic Adventure 2 or whatever you call it, which was an amazing game. That came out, I remember, when we were in high school, and I played the shit out of that game because it was a game too that had a lot of those. A Sonic level is very point A to point B, but it had so many hidden things to find. It had like so many what you would call like side quests, and I'm a sucker for those.
You are a sucker for side quests. And
it had like a little chow garden where you had to raise the little creatures. And I like everything about that game. I really enjoyed.
Wait, that was Adventure Battle 2?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember you playing, unless they ported the chow garden to other games.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did.
Other games, I think there was one version for the game. Was it advanced, or did they have the 3DS out? Either way, Game Boy had their own version where it was literally all Chow Garden.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't enough for me to do all Chow Garden, but it was a nice little side thing to do. And that also, like, I drew Sonic from that game.
That's what I forgot.
Tim Hoshi, do you remember that?
I forgot.
Like, is that the one where he has the bandana?
No, where Sonic has a bandana?
No, that's I think that's in Riders.
Oh yeah, Riders. Is that the one where they're like
snowboard
and
snowboarding
stuff like that?
It's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I drew all the characters. That's really when I got into like drawing for fun.
That's actually a good reason, a good thing to bring up. I don't mean to jump on your history, but there was a portion that I had forgotten. The first thing I learned to draw was Sonic.
There you go.
And that was, early.
Many years ago.
Like 3rd grade.
Yeah. See, Sonic is an inspiration to artists everywhere. And you know what I forgot? I remember the old Sega Game Gear.
Yes.
That was a great handheld. I loved my Game Gear. And I had whatever the first Sonic was for that. And I played that all the time.
I always wanted a Game Gear.
Game Gear was pretty sick. in an age where I had the Game Gear and the Game Boy, like the original brick Game Boy, and you had to play it in the light because it was just olive and green. to have a backlit full color handheld gaming system was amazing. Now I basically only had Sonic.
That's all you needed.
I can't even think if I had other games, but I had so much fun. And I remember the music so vividly. Colors in music have always been very vivid in Sonic, haven't they?
Oh yes, they certainly have. Very, very bright brights. Especially the Green Hill Zone is always the one that sticks out to me the most as the brightest colors.
And then, to bring it to modern times, when the Sonic movie was announced, I was excited, especially when Jim Carrey was attached as Robotnik. Then I saw the original trailer and went, oh, no. Oh, no. Actually, you know what I saw even before the trailer?
The cardboard cutout and the lobby cutout?
Yeah,
and you could just see his
that
legs.
Was just Sonic sitting on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
And you were between his legs. Like you were him.
Right.
Looking down at your legs, but the legs were like so disturbing.
Right.
And that was the first time a flag was raised for me, and I was like, "Oh no, oh no, flag on the field, tweet, let's shut this down."
Was that a sports reference sketch?
That was a sports reference.
Wow,
what?
It's a crazy time right now.
No kidding.
And then
canceled.
Then we saw the
athletes.
The first trailer, and I was horrified, but then when they immediately stepped up and said,
I was so angry.
Loud and clear, we got your message loud and clear, we're going to make this right, and it's not going to be released until we made it right. I was like, okay, well, first, I appreciate that you're doing that. Second, we'll see. I will definitely go see the movie because of what you have said.
Yep, that's why
and then I went and saw it in theaters.
It's exactly.
And then I watched it 2 nights ago when I was working on the art for this episode.
Very cool.
There you go. Shades. Personal history with Sonic the Hedgehog.
I got a Sega Genesis in... I don't know when it came out, but I got a Sega Genesis when Sonic the Hedgehog was the launch game for Sega. Mm-hmm. So my Sega Genesis came with the original Sonic and Quackshot, which was a Disney DuckTales game. And those are the only 2 games I had for it. I want to say until like the following birthday/Christmas. So I had those 2 games, and I played the shit out of the original Sonic game. Loved it. Like you said, it was so vibrant, so colorful. It was just fun in a way that like what was frustrating to me being at that age with Mario was like once you committed to something, that was it. So if you didn't time a jump just right, that was it. Like you just had to watch Mario plummet to his death. But Sonic, you had the ability to control him like mid-air. And like as he was falling, you could kind of like run a little bit and direct. And so it was a little bit more forgiving. And
you could also go backwards.
You could go backwards in Sonic. Exactly. So like you could explore a level and then be like, oh, I didn't explore the rest of the level. Or like once you went down like one of those zigzaggy tunnels. And you could also the creators were people who thought outside the box. You could like get on top of the loop-de-loops. And I just remember like my mission to explore all of those areas within a level. And I can remember just like leaving my Genesis on for days because I didn't want to start over as I was progressing through the game. And like in the days before saving, which is like, if you're listening to this podcast and you don't know the pain of making it to the last level of something and then the power goes out or you die or like someone trips over the power cord or you just jostled your system enough that it doesn't make the connection and the game freezes and you have to start all over again.
Or someone takes the cartridge
out of the... Yeah.
And wipes all your save data. Yeah, that'd be horrible.
It's yeah.
I'm not going to chime in on that one.
Core memories right there. Core memories.
But I had Sonic and I had Sonic and Tails, and then I played Sonic and Knuckles, which Knuckles was an expansion. You'd plug Knuckles into the Genesis, and then you would plug the game cartridge in on top of that, and it would make Knuckles a playable character in all of the games. And then there was like standalone Knuckles content that you could play on the disc too. So you could like go backwards. You could go back to Sonic and Tails and replace Tails with Knuckles, or replace Sonic with Knuckles. And I only ever rented that, but I lived across the street from a video game rental store, so I got to rent it a lot. But then also at the same time, I guess somewhere between Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic and Tails, and Sonic 2, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which took place in the post-apocalyptic world where Robotnik had already won, came out, and that was 1993.
I believe so.
And I just remember watching that and being so frustrated because I was doing some like sport at the time, which was either baseball, basketball, or tennis. I don't know which one, but I remember like having to end Saturday morning cartoons to go to that and just being like so angry that I wasn't getting to see how that story played out. And that
Boo Sports.
Yeah, Boo Sports. And that wasn't the syndicated series. There was another Sonic series that was syndicated and aired on Saturday mornings, new episodes, but also aired like in the morning before school, like maybe when you were eating cereal and if your parents were cool and let you have the television on, or you had a television in your room and you could sneak it. I don't know. But there was that series was syndicated and it was episodic, and that was always on. And Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog was never on. And I remember not getting to finish that series until Tim Hoshi, you bought it on DVD, and I finally got to. Oh, cool! But you let me borrow it. And wait, did I get it for you? I might have actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yes, you did.
I think, yeah, that's right. So I gifted it to you because you were like, I loved that series. And then
immediately took it back, watched it.
No, and then you let me finish it because I think that was the same year Sketch. I think I got you Adventures of Zelda.
Yep. You did get me Zelda.
Which were not comparable series at all. I remember you were like, oh, nope. Great. The worst version of Link ever.
Yep. Tim Hoshi won that year.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm perpetually stuck in a suit of armor.
Well, excuse me, princess.
The Adventures of Sonic, the one that we're all talking about, which I also forgot to say I watched also growing up. That was the one where he had lots of companions, right?
Yes.
He had
and there
Tails,
wasn't like a bunny
Sally.
with like a mechanical arm or something.
Whose name was Bunny, and there was a French fox.
That show launched so many furries. I guarantee.
Oh yeah.
Sally was the first furry.
Sally was.
Not
was
even kidding. Yeah.
That's where where furries came from?
I may be paraphrasing, but she's one of the first furries I'd ever seen, and I wasn't looking for them.
Well, furries out there, write in.
Let us know.
Let us know who was your first anthropomorphized animal crush, and did they come from Sonic?
I wonder if it was Princess Sally Acorn.
It could have been.
Some of the fan art I've seen online has really developed over the years.
Oh dear.
You mean some of the fan art you've posted online? Is that what you meant to say? Did you misspeak?
No, I did not, because I cannot draw with these big gauntlets.
Is that why that bolt is strict?
No, that's the other hand.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Oh. So that series, and then that was the last. I never played anything after Sonic and Knuckles. I guess my next Sonic anything was Sonic X, but that says it didn't come out until 2003, so we were already in college. So I don't know when I was watching that or would have watched that. I have clear memories of like watching that much earlier in life, but again, that must be like my Ready Player One false memory. Yeah. It didn't come out in 2003 and it ran till 2006.
Classic Shades false memory.
It's got to be. There's no way I could have watched it when I'm remembering watching it.
An SFM.
Yeah. Shades false memory.
Yeah.
There are a lot of those.
There needs to be a long-time listener who compiles all of Shades
false
memories and see if we can like make some sort of whole false backstory.
That's the Earth that I'm from. That must be the
Yeah.
timeline that I was pulled out of and consolidated into this one.
Ooh, maybe that's the root basis of Double Inception Fever
Oh,
Dream right
wow. That's amazing.
Yep.
I love that, brother. And so I remember you having a number of GameCube Sonic games, but the one I guess I'm remembering is the Sonic Adventures, which is the or no, was it Sonic X?
It's Sonic Adventures Battle 2, but it's the same storyline in Sonic X.
Gotcha.
And then after that
What,
was the Shadow the Hedgehog game, which I'm not counting really as a Sonic game.
Yeah, because that was more of an adventure game, right? So I mean, Shadow had a gun in that game. Like it was a shooter.
He legit shot people, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I
he was a
pre-ordered
bad guy.
that immediately.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I remember the stands for those, like in game shops, like the larger than life size shadows with the. I can vividly see it, like facing backwards with the gun at a side.
Yep.
Yeah,
I remember that as well.
I was so disappointed in that game.
What was the game that Shades was referencing earlier? That was like a team where you had like your team following you around.
I mean, Tails used to follow you around everywhere, but I can't remember a game where you had all three.
This
I'm gonna look it up while we're talking.
This was a specific GameCube game, and I remember like a number of failed Sonic games had come out by this point.
Oh, I think you're thinking about the Shadow game because you had a lot of people.
Was
following
everyone
you.
in it?
Oh, yeah.
No, so this
then
was
some.
They made a sequel in which they added Sonic Heroes. And that is like regarded in Sonic fandom as one of the best games ever. Period.
Really?
Yeah, people
long-time
love
listeners. Apparently, I'm looking at a 2-hour, 45-minute gameplay video of Sonic Heroes. So if you've never played it, you can watch someone else play it.
which then you'll basically have my college experience of watching Sketch play video games.
Yeah.
And just
I forgot about this team.
And then coming over to my place to watch people play video games.
Yeah. That was basically my whole college experience, guys. You could go right down that rabbit hole.
Just your typical college experience, I would say.
I never flipped the lights off on you though when I was done.
Nope.
And so then my
deep cut.
The last of my Sonic history is the last teaching position I had, one of my advisees, Sonic was their thing.
Mm-hmm.
That they drew, know all of the history. Sonic is their thing. And
Sonic is your Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like
they're Sonic. Yeah, I gotcha.
It's that, in the way that like Ghostbusters or like Star Trek or Star Wars is someone's thing. Sonic the Hedgehog is their thing, and knows everything about Sonic and all of the lore and all of the histories and all of the games. And I just remember I was like, yeah, Sonic 2, the one with Tails. He was like, no. They're like, no, Sonic 2 is a different game. Sonic and Tails is not Sonic 2. I'm like, I played it. The second game that came out is Sonic and Tails. That's Sonic 2. No, Sonic 2 is a different game. And it was like, who's on first? Only with Sonic the Hedgehog. You're like, yeah, Sonic Battle, whatever. Sonic Battle 2. No.
Two Sonic, two Hedgehogs.
That's their thing, and must have been so frustrated with my ignorance of Sonic the Hedgehog, which I thought
Sonic the Hedgehog Tokyo Drift actually works.
Sonic.
Is that a thing?
The family. No, I'm just saying, like you could see it. You could see it work.
With his rail grinding shoes he's got now, yeah, easy.
Yeah. I'm looking at the. I forgot some of these characters in Sonic Heroes.
There are so many characters in that game.
There's okay. One of the teams is Espio the Chameleon, Charmy Bee, and Vector the Crocodile.
Don't like any of them.
And then another team is Amy, which is fine. E123 Omega, which is a big robot, and Cream the Rabbit.
Yes.
And don't forget her Chow Cheese.
Yes.
Cream and cheese. So many puns.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that Chow's name was Cheese.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow.
My daughter points it out all the time.
And Big the Cat.
Yeah.
Big the Cat. We're going to name you Big. Oh, my bad. E123 Omega was on Rogue and Shadow.
Glad we cleared that up, guys.
Yeah,
It was really
a lot of mail coming in right as we spoke.
Yeah, a lot of fan mail coming our way.
Yep.
I keep
Thank
putting
you
it
for the
through
correction.
my helmet slots.
Yeah. Stuff in your cavity with fan mail. Anywho.
Yeah, so I
and then you saw the movie.
And then I saw the lobby poster with Sonic's legs, and I think I was still teaching at that point. But my advisee and I were like,
quit?
And immediately, I was going to say, immediately decided to quit.
I was in the theater this weekend and saw a lobby poster with Sonic's legs. I'm worried, and they were like, "Yeah, this is not good. This is not going to be good." Because in 2013 they made a live action Sonic fan film, and Jaleel White came back and voiced Sonic. And for a no budget fan made trailer, it's actually really good. The animation's not great, as you might imagine, for a fan made movie, but it's pretty damn good for 2013. And
I've to hunt that down.
And it's on YouTube. It's readily accessible. But I just remember we both kind of quit at that point, where this is not going to be good, live action Sonic. That must have been like late 2016, early 2017.
Oh, well, there it is.
They're the legs.
Yeah. There it is.
Just sharing the legs. That is like,
I remember that.
So
it's haunting.
It is
because for starters,
we're looking at his inner thigh.
Yeah, we're looking at his inner thigh, and that is not eye level. You can't look at that and say, "Oh, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog."
Right, exactly.
You don't look at your own legs that way.
Right.
You are squarely at navel height max.
Yeah. The proportions are all wrong.
I remember seeing that, and I had wiped that whole memory from existence. I can't.
Well, there you go. Welcome back.
Please take it back.
The meaty thighs and rippled calves. It's so disturbing. It really disturbing.
Is. It's like they just took a human runner, took that picture, and then just glued on some fur.
It literally looks like they took two separate legs and propped them up somewhere.
Clearly, too.
They're not attached to anything.
If you look at the right one, it's so proportion. It's bent at this weird, unnatural angle, and you can tell it's photoshopped because the foot takes up the entirety of the shoe, but then the leg is not proportional to the amount of it.
And you guys are right, because guys, we're getting into the posters, guys. We're gonna have to post this somewhere so that people can follow along at home.
Yeah.
If you look at the right leg, if you naturally follow the line back down from the knee, it's almost like we're looking at two separate people and we're in between the two separate people, and I'm 100% more okay with that.
Yeah.
It's like two sexy Cookie Monsters are on a romantic date.
I love that. It's there's no way that is the only way that works is if we're the size of Barley in Onward and resting on that Sonic's chest.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Or if we were cheese. Or a similar chap.
Yeah. Stuck in Sonic's navel.
Before I take this down.
Please do. I can't handle the shoes anymore.
But I will say, big missed opportunity in the movie to do nothing on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like that was the entire reason that San Francisco was the location of the big climax, and we never did anything on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Sketch, do you know when this lobby poster was released?
Early 2019? Early 2019?
No, it had to be earlier than that. It had to be earlier than that.
Okay. When? What?
Do you know? I feel like the poster dropped some point in 2018 because I was still teaching.
It must have, because I still had time to go to the theaters. And I remember seeing
December 16th, 2018. There you go.
December 16th, 2018. Okay, so almost 2019.
I was super close. When I said really early 2019,
I mean,
I'm super close.
Depending upon what time zone you're in, you could have been right.
Should
Could have
we
been right.
get into the movie history?
Yeah, we got to get into the movie. Let's stop talking about the poster.
Okay.
And we'll start talking about the movie.
Siri just popped on and tried to answer for me without me asking for it. That was weird.
Thanks, Siri.
Sorry.
Eggman's listening.
Seriously. Okay. Sonic the Hedgehog. Development of a Sonic movie began in 1993, in part due to the success of the Adventures of the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Sega put the project on hold due to fears about the endangering the brand after the demise and disaster of the Mario Brothers movie.
It's fair.
Sega did, however, move forward at MGM after the success of the show. The film moved studios to DreamWorks in 1995 with Richard Jeffries attached to write the script, but was eventually shelved again due to creative differences between Sony and Sega. In 2013, Sony bought the rights to a film adaptation of Sonic the Hedgehog and partnered with the production team of Blur Studios, with Jeff Fowler making his directorial debut in place.
Blur Studios is a great studio to take on Sonic.
It is. That's the studio that did Tim Miller's studio that did Deadpool.
Oh, cool. I just meant in terms of
the name Blur
pun.
Studios.
Yeah.
So in 2017, however, Paramount announced that they had acquired the movie rights after Sony put it into turnaround. For those that don't know, turnaround is a production term in which the studio claims the movie as a loss and is able to claim everything they've spent as a tax write-off, but are not allowed to move forward with producing the movie. And just a quick question there. Did Paramount acquire Sonic the Hedgehog as a result of how poorly Ghostbusters Answer the Call did in 2016? Did they?
Possible.
I wonder, like, longtime listeners, write in. I'm curious. I couldn't find this. Did Sony sell the rights? Did Sony take Sonic as a loss over Ghostbusters Answer the Call? That's a question. Not a big question, but a question. So Paramount acquired the rights in turnaround and moved forward with the same production team intact. The controversy. Sonic with Paramount. Based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle experiences, Paramount wanted to, quote unquote, make the movie more relatable. They wanted a human Sonic.
Ooh.
Longtime fans will be upset, but the majority of moviegoers won't care, unquote.
Wow.
Who are they making the movie for?
Exactly. But the majority of moviegoers did care. Nothing could have been more wrong. There was universal rebuke from both critics and fans alike, and just the general public. I think Paramount underestimated how well-known Sonic actually was. And
iconic, one would say.
Absolutely.
He's right up there with Mario.
He is.
The two are a pair.
They are.
They went to the Olympics
I
together.
know, right? Did they compete against each other, or
yeah, they competed against each other.
They did. Okay.
No, it would be the Mario universe versus the Sonic universe.
Oh, that makes sense.
Why would Sonic want to have anything to do with the Mushroom Planet?
Well, he's a runner, so you got to carve up, and Mario appears to know all about carving up.
Yeah, it's true.
Where was I? I don't know. Oh, the controversy, right. On May 9th, 2019, Jeff Fowler announced via Twitter that the redesign was happening, and they brought in Tyson Hess, a longtime Sonic designer, to do the work. 7 months, $5 million later, the movie premiered on February 14th, 2020.
Valentine's Day.
Yes. Which very
it's all
fitting.
About rings.
It is all about rings. And pushing back to February probably made this movie way more successful than it would have been. If it had opened in November, it would have been up against Frozen 2 and a number of other animated kid-friendly features. Jumanji: The Next Level, it would have had to open against, but because it got pushed back, it opened against Birds of Prey, and so it was the only family-friendly vehicle. It did well, but it probably did even better as a result of the controversy.
And I'll go as far as to say this, because of what has happened this year, might be the best performing kids movie of the year in theaters, because we might not be back in theaters.
We might not be back in theaters. And I mean, I'll just say, Sketch, how much do you think it cost? And Tim Hoshi, feel free to play along too.
Oh, I'm worse at these things than Sketches.
How much do you think it cost?
$135 million.
Yikes, Sketch. It's an animated feature that
they
most
remade.
Of the cast. They reanimated. It cost, I'll tell you this, it cost an additional, I'd already said it, it cost $5 million extra to fix Sonic.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah, I'm also surprised
and no overtime hours were spent fixing it.
Wow.
And nobody lost their jobs.
Well, good, they shouldn't.
They were paid. Nobody worked 90 hours. It was just done. They delayed the movie to opening, so everybody had happy work life, personal life balances. That was a quote that I read from.
Learn that lesson, cat.
Yeah, exactly.
Timoshi, what's your guess?
We got 135 million.
I'm going to go with 100 million.
Okay. The movie cost $95 million.
Good job,
but because it was shot in Vancouver and on Vancouver Island, probably why the Golden Gate Bridge doesn't feature very heavily, they were able to get $10 million in rebates. So the movie, after rebates, wound up costing $85 million.
Wow.
They get a rebate.
What did it make?
How much do you think it made?
Well, I mean, they got my $12 off of Amazon, so that's $12 there I can at least be certain of.
I saw it in theaters, so you can
I also saw it in theaters.
$6 to that from me.
Oh, take it in the matinee.
No, have I not told you that my local theater is $6 any showtime of any day?
What?
Yeah, it's awesome, and probably not going to be after this is all over and it reopens.
Wow, we're up to $12.75 here.
Ouch.
Yeah, awesome. It is.
That's
awesome.
Amazing.
I think we're $12.50.
Anywho, let's estimate 150 million.
That's a pretty good guess. You're 50 million off.
Timoshi, go up. Go up from me.
151 million.
Oh, no.
Tim Hoshi, I said you were 50 million off.
Yeah, but by Price is Right rules, he wins. He's closest without going over.
No, you lose. It only made $106 million.
Oh, I thought it was higher than what I said.
So it made $106 million in the US. It made $306 million internationally.
Okay.
So, by all accounts, mildly successful.
Very successful. It recouped its budget, so it paid for itself domestically, and then it made profit internationally. So we are quote, Jim Carey has expressed a huge desire to come back and do it again, and Jason Marsden has said, I have signed on for quote as many as they want to do, unquote. Whoops, was I supposed to say that?
Jim Carrey has also actually come out very recently and said that he has promised to wear a fat suit.
Yes, he has.
Excellent.
Yep, he has in the next one.
Excellent.
Yep.
Well, should we break down this movie?
All important internet scores?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. All important internet scores before our scores.
Yes. IMDb, 6.6
on the internet.
6.6.
I saw that.
I'm surprised. Rotten Tomatoes critic score 64%.
Wow.
Fan score 93%.
Well done.
Nice
that
job.
might be the biggest disparity we've seen on an RT score. 94% of Google reviewers loved this movie. And Tim Hoshi, start us off. Guess first.
I give this movie a 90%.
Ooh.
Good job. Nice
After
score.
Watching it 4 times, I should give it a 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sketch?
I'm actually very close to Tim Hoshi on this without discussing it previously. I gave it an 89%.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I gave it a 98%.
Whoa!
I fucking love this movie.
Almost near perfect.
Almost near perfect.
Very good.
So I think we're dangerously close now. What else do we have to do but rant and rave about this movie?
Well, before
where do you want to start? Oh, sorry.
Oh, what do you got?
Before we
Tim Hoshi?
jump into that movie,
what are you pulling out of your armor there?
oh, hold on. This one's been crumpled in the bottom for a while. I think it's been in my heel. I might send this to you guys later, but I have some of the original sketches of Sonic.
Ooh.
When they were trying to decide what they wanted to do. The whole reason why Sonic came into being, and I'm going to paraphrase, considering I have the origins of Sonic the Hedgehog and the origins of Sonic to share with you guys. So I'm going to paraphrase.
So was Sonic not always a hedgehog?
Well, so one moment. So it makes great audio as I wave my
Makes great
around.
audio. One moment.
Doesn't it though? Well, it's a true moment.
It's a true moment.
Anyway,
because we're that podcast.
The whole reason why Sonic came into being is Sega wanted a new mascot. I don't know if you guys know what the mascot was before.
No, I don't. What was it?
Alex the Kid.
Alex the Kid?
Yeah, let me see if I can share that with you guys. Share screen. Alex the Kid. There he is.
Oh, that is haunting.
Hey, that's no fun.
I've never seen him before in my life.
He looks like a monkey.
I always thought Sonic was the mascot of Sega the entire time. But Sonic came around when Sega wanted to release the Sega Genesis because they figured out Nintendo has this great mascot of Mario. Our mascot is, well,
dumb.
It's this little monkey. He looks like Link and Mario squished together.
He does look like Link and Mario.
You can clearly see that it's completely ripped off.
Look closer. He's like a baby Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, he's got the color scheme going on now.
True.
He's like wearing Robotnik's suit.
And just put those mutton chops sideways and you got the mustache.
Oh my goodness.
It's a flight
suit. I literally
Could you unshare that screen, please? This is haunting.
You could take that down.
I'm going to make that bigger.
Go back to Sonic's legs.
There we go.
Boom.
Anyway, so Sega wanted to get rid of this guy. I can't imagine why. So they did, I can't remember what it's called, but they sent out a survey essentially with a couple of different versions. And they were in the process of developing Sonic's game. But they went through a whole bunch of different characters and they just didn't really feel like it worked. They went through a
hedgehog. They didn't think that worked?
Well, they had a couple of options. They knew what they wanted. They wanted in a video game something that could curl up into a ball, roll around, and do damage with its spikes.
Spin dash.
And they tested an armadillo, a porcupine, a dog, and I quote, an old guy with a mustache.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine if Robotnik curled himself into a ball and hurled his body at things?
Yeah, and I imagine his mustache was the spikes.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I assume that's why they said with a mustache.
Right.
Because otherwise you'd think an old man, where are the spikes?
Just curl yourself up into a ball and throw your body at things.
Yep.
So they internally discussed everything while they were on trips, and the Hedgehog won.
What kind of trips?
I mean,
Hedgehog won.
Technically trips to New York, but I mean, who knows, what happens in New York. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Anyway, Hedgehog was number one. The second in command, essentially, was Eggman. And the third was the dog.
Interesting.
I never.
And there's, as far as I know, there hasn't been a dog in Sonic lore to this point.
No, there hasn't.
Tails is a fox, right?
Tails is a fox.
So then they decided so many people want a hedgehog, and the reasons why they could use the hedgehog, it transcends race, gender, different types of people, which I think is why they made him blue. But that's just me spitballing. So that's
I thought that was to get the Blue Man Group audience.
No, this is
Big blue. They say
that's
blue.
That's why the Blue
you got to
Man
get that
Group
big blue green
is blue.
Now, we say they settled on Hedgehog, and I think we are in a post Sonic the Hedgehog world where everybody knows what Sonic the Hedgehog looks like, and of course his name is Sonic the Hedgehog, so he is a hedgehog. There's not a whole lot of resemblance to an actual hedgehog.
No, and here's why.
There's that line in the movie too where Tom is like, "What are you?" And he's like, "I think it's pretty obvious a hedgehog." It's like, no, it is not obvious at all, Sonic.
And hedgehogs are notoriously slow.
They're not fast.
They're not fast. You can't pick them up easily. They will prickle you.
Well, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but foxes also don't fly.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Mine has 9 tails.
Learned something.
Well, let me back that up. Every fox can only fly once. All right, Tim Hoshi.
The last thing I wanted to add into the origins of Sonic is Sonic's design itself. Why did they pick Sonic's design? There are 2 reasons, and I love them both. Reason number 1, he's a bunch of shapes, and he's really easy for kids to draw.
True statement.
And that's smart marketing.
It's brilliant because it's the first thing I drew, and it was all circles.
Yeah.
Reason number 2, reason number 2, his design is that way because they took Felix the cat and Mickey Mouse and just swap bodies.
Oh.
Sega's big into this like mashing up of other people's characters.
Yeah.
And they legit admit that's what he is. He's Felix the cat's head
and Mickey
on
Mouse.
Mickey Mouse's body.
Yeah, I mean, when you draw Mickey and you draw Sonic, very similar facial structures, and especially in the eyes.
And the nose.
And the muzzle, yeah.
The muzzle, yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that. I wouldn't have seen it unless you didn't say it, though. So, good on you, Tim Hoshi.
There we go.
So, I'm much like your previous encounter, Shades, that Sonic is kind of my thing. Not nearly to that extent, but I absolutely love Sonic.
Very cool.
Before you lost your body, did you have a Sonic tattoo anywhere?
Right on my forehead.
Oh,
nice.
Wow.
You don't remember that in college?
Was it a Chaos Emerald?
No, it was Amy.
Oh no, not a.
Oh no!
Let that fur flag fly, Tim Hoshi.
No!
And one of the things I've always wondered over the years is, let me rephrase that, over the adult years, because as a child, I didn't care about origin stories, except for Spider-Man, because I've seen all of them. Sonic's origin. How did Sonic come to be himself? Yeah. Well, turns out the Sonic comic series we were talking about at the beginning, when I first fell out of the GoCo, that's where they actually put in his lore and origin. And it's convoluted beyond all belief. I'm going to try to sum it up for you.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you could boil it down.
I'm going to boil it down.
Because I don't know it. I don't know the Sonic.
Nice Sonic au jus.
Yeah. Give it to us.
So Sonic was actually born on Earth.
I already call bullshit.
Fair enough. Storyline. Anyway, supposedly he was born on Earth, and he was a normal-ish hedgehog, except for he had his speed. So he was brown. He had individual spikes. I have a picture of it that I will send you for your Facebook. I don't think I have it with me right now. It's too many crumpled pieces of paper in here. But
so he's born on Earth. He looks like a normal hedgehog, except he has super speed.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the other thing we need to know is that he was actually
Came into contact with a canister of ooze from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles universe.
I am feeling some sort of mutation coming.
Yeah.
yes, but let me just get to it.
Okay, you get to it.
Okay, so Sonic is doing his thing, right? And he accidentally stumbles upon Robotnik's lab. But he's not Robotnik. This is pre-Robotnik. His name was Dr. Ovi Kintobor. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but we're going to go with that.
Doctor,
Okay.
That's it. Wow. Okay. So the movie did get that correct.
Correct. Kind of. I think that's the closest thing they got. So they became friends, and over this friendship, Sonic finds out that Dr. Ovi is trying to create this device he calls the Retro Orbital Chaos Compressor.
Wait, I'm sorry. Normal, everyday Earth hedgehog, but has super speed.
Yeah,
But best
be
friends.
friends.
Be friends.
Scientist working
Dr.
underground.
Obi Kintobar.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the classic. We've seen it done a million times.
They're best friends. They're best buddies.
Yeah.
Best friends.
So
Okay.
he's built this. I'm not going to
Orbital-
repeat it again, but
So he's
it's
built the satellite from
The-
Spider-Man Far From Home.
it's essentially ROCC. We'll call it.
Okay.
And the design of this machine is exactly what it sounds like. It's to suck all of the evil energy out of the world and store them in the Chaos Emeralds. But Ovi has 6, and he needs 7. So he enlists Sonic to help him find the 7th, but with Sonic speed, he can't. Ovi invents these frictionless shoes for Sonic, his classic red shoes, to help him go faster.
Oh.
Knowing
Gotta
how
go fast.
friction works, I don't understand how frictionless shoes would help.
That doesn't seem to improve the situation at
I
all.
feel like he would just run in
it
They
makes
place.
just run in
worse.
place.
But I'll save that episode for when you guys do the Magic School Bus episode on friction.
Sure.
So with these shoes, for some reason, he's able to go faster, and he breaks the sound barrier. When he breaks the sound barrier, he turns blue. We don't know why. And it fuses all of his quills together in the shape that he has now.
Oh.
We now have
not hair gel.
not hair gel.
And is
Okay.
that where he gets the name Sonic? Because he surpasses the sound barrier?
barrier?
He always had that name. That was what
Oh.
Mommy Hedgehog named him. When
Because that would have worked. But okay.
he actually has a bit of a
Missed
sad
opportunity.
backstory, but I'm gonna not go that far back.
We'll leave it.
So now this gets a little stranger because we still don't have Robotnik.
Oh, it's not strange yet?
No, it's not strange yet. It gets weird. It gets weirder.
Okay.
Okay. So
Lay it on us.
Sonic's like, no big deal. I'll keep helping you out, Doc. And because in Sonic's words, he's a pretty okay guy. But the doctors decided he's hungry.
Best friend. He's pretty okay.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's pretty okay.
Doctors
Sonic was
decided,
hungry?
No, the doctor's hungry.
Oh.
He asked Sonic to fix him some lunch. Sonic doesn't do it because everything in the fridge are month-old rotten eggs.
Oh,
Oh,
my God.
no.
See where I'm going with this?
Eggman.
Oh my God.
So instead of throwing the egg away like the rest of us would do, the doctor of science believed that a little bit of salt would just make it better. He went to get some salt, tripped over a while, fell into his orbital chaos compressor. All of that chaos gets fused into him along with the egg,
Oh my gosh.
which is why he's a big fat round guy.
Okay. I'm going to just go ahead and say this right now. The movie
What?
did such a better
Such
job.
a better job giving them an origin story.
I like this. It's not a rave of mine, but I like how they made Robotnik out of this. I didn't
Yeah.
find this until after.
What the?
I saw the
Hoshi, are you
movie.
sure this is official Sonic history? Because I am going to reach out to my student and get confirmation on this.
This is retconned. This is no longer canon history. All this history has been rewritten once they started introducing lore and stuff into the video games. But this was
in the original booklet that I just didn't read?
No, this was in the comic book series. In a book.
Okay.
There's a comic book series and a regular book series that this was all explained in.
Do you know when those came out?
Yeah.
Because that seems like very like 1960s, 1970s Japanese anime.
It does seem that, and it's definitely Sonic's not that old.
Like Astro Boy-esque.
Oh no, this is even more bizarre than Astro Boy.
No, but I'm saying like it's like along those lines. It's like absurd,
hands down.
Like Japanese animation lore.
Hands down.
Cool.
So those are the two tidbits of information that I found.
The movie did such a better job giving them backstories.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So all of that's retconned. It's no longer canon, but
Is Longclaw an established part of Sonic lore?
No.
Or was she created for the movie?
Longclaw was... I will put this out to your longtime listeners. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, she doesn't exist until this movie.
That's what I was under the impression of as well.
New character.
I mean, that's a classic for Sega, especially with the Sonic series. When they introduced Tails, their sales went through the roof. So they figured every time they release a game, they just create a new character. That failed repeatedly until Shadow.
Really? Until Shadow?
Yeah.
The Longclaw design looks like a leftover from a Paramount. I think it was a Paramount movie that came out. It was a movie just about owls.
Yeah.
Guardian.
I remember that movie.
Was it called Guardians?
The
Guardians?
No idea.
Like that.
And it's like, I think in the title, there's like a part 1 or like Guardians, the Origin or something like that. And they clearly intended to like have a series of movies, which did not happen. And I'm wondering if they just took one of the characters from that movie and threw it into Sonic.
The animation of that character is almost identical.
Are you looking at it?
According to the comics that I'm looking up just to see when the first one came out, the earliest one I'm finding on Wikipedia is 1991.
The Sonic comics?
Yeah. Is there an even earlier one?
Nope.
That's the one that has this crazy fucked up backstory?
So the original crazy effed up backstory was a series of comics published by a company in the UK called Fleetway Editions. And it ran from 1993 to 2002.
There you go.
Wow. Oh, wow. The Legend of the Guardians. That Longclaw is almost identical to this image that I'm looking at, right down to like the gold armor.
My issue, and I didn't write it down as a rant, but my issue is that Longclaw is hyper realistic.
Right.
In a way that
Sonic is not.
Sonic, spoiler alert for the Sonic movie, Tails, when he shows up, is just like Sonic. And the Knuckles tribe, the whatever you call that animal.
The Knuckles.
They all have the classic Sonic proportions, but Longclaw is like, just an owl.
Just a talking owl.
I swear Shades is right. They reused it because not even in any of the other series is there any flying animal type except for Rouge the Bat, and she has regular legs.
Yeah, she does have regular legs. Legs for days. Guys, is this our furry episode? It might be.
It might be.
It might be our furry episode. Should we get into Rants and Raves here?
I think so. Do you want to start us off, Sketch?
I think guest should go first.
Okay, sure.
I mean, am I a guest at this point? I've been in the GoCo since
episode hostage. 50. It's just tomato.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
let's start with raves. Let's start with raves.
As long as it's not.
I can't eat tomatoes.
You can't eat tomatoes?
How's that fun?
Can't eat tomatoes.
No.
How's that a fun fact?
It's not.
Oh, all right.
Oh, sarcastic fun fact.
Yeah.
All right, Tim Hoshi, give us your first rave of the Sonic the Hedgehog 2020 movie.
Okay.
Quite possibly the best thing to come out of 2020.
Yeah. Hands down.
It might be.
Might be so far.
So my first rave is from the perspective of a lover of Sonic.
Mhm.
So I have raves from my kids because I watched it 3 times with my kids
Mhm.
and once with my wife. And my kids have their own raves, which happen to be mine as well.
Okay.
This is from my perspective as a Sonic
Enthusiast.
consumer enthusiast. Every reference they made throughout the entire movie
Hmm.
did not stop. There was a reference to almost every single game, even in the credits, and they are little tiny things. So, like, there is a
Right.
reference to Green Hills, the
Mhm.
level,
Right.
Mhm.
right there at the very beginning with Longclaw, with that little sunflower he wanted to give her.
Right.
Just the word "badniks" written in
Yes.
You're written in the fuse box.
written in the fuse box.
Yep.
At the very end, when the major battle starts, and he, spoilers, pushes them off the building,
Mhm.
and then they fire all the missiles at him, and then he just stops time for the most part, and he's doing the very
Looking at his
classic
watch. Yes.
Sonic
You
waiting pose.
you put the controller down, and I'm bored. Like,
Mhm.
Exactly.
Let's get back. Let's do this. Yep.
His fourth wall break.
It is.
And they even did references to the TV shows with Sonic's love of chili dogs.
Chili dogs.
Yes. Yep.
That's never referenced in the video games. If it is, I've missed that game. But that came about in the TV shows, specifically the very first series.
They were chili cheese dogs.
I originally
let me jump
tried
in
a
on this
chili
because
dog
it was
for that.
also my first rave as well. I called it the faithfulness to the property.
Yes.
Like
It's a better way
nailing
of
all
putting
these
it.
little details. And so
I'd
you've
be
hit
better
on a
at
lot
this.
of the ones that I said, like the flower that he gave Longclaw, but also on the island there are the spinning checkpoints.
Yep.
That he runs
I
through.
didn't notice that.
You'll watch it on your 5th.
Yep.
Not
Yeah,
wrong.
you got
He's not
Robotnik.
wrong.
I mean, this is a simple one because it was
with the hilltop zone.
Yep, the hilltop zone, hilltop road.
Hilltop
You
road.
had
Yeah.
the noise when they all crash down, all the rings off the building make the classic noise.
And he dropped them and make the noise like when you get hit. You drop all the rings. Yep.
When Tail shows up, his propeller tails make the same noise from the game.
Yep.
The fact that the way he beats Robotnik's ship at the very end is by bouncing off of it.
Yep.
Yes.
Just like the end of any level. They found a way to make that work.
Right.
And they made it work so well. That's not my second rave, but it was on par with that. It was my second rave is kind of part of it. But I absolutely love that because that is the way you beat Robotnik.
That's how you beat Robotnik, and that's how Sonic did it.
In everything.
And this one doesn't have anything to do with the show or the games, but when they show Crazy Carl's drawing of the Blue Devil, it's the classic Sonic meme.
Yes.
From online, which they tied in all Sonic faithfully.
Yeah, it was
so strong agree to motion.
Excuse me, I think you mean super observant Carl.
Super observant, yeah.
I think you should start calling him super observant Carl.
So good. I have something entirely different for my my first rave.
Sure.
I just thought it was so smart to make this a buddy road trip movie and make it was so small. If they had tried to do something big and like global along the lines of superhero movies that we see now, it was so smart to just make this a buddy comedy and literally a road trip movie.
Yeah.
Because it made a character that was. I'm sorry?
I was going to say it's the exact opposite of the description on Amazon.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's I kept saying, like, before I put 2 and 2 together, that this was Tim Miller's studio and like saw Tim Miller's name as the executive producer. I was like, damn, this is so smart. Like, just like Deadpool, they made it so small, so simple, and just fun. And then I was like, oh, Tim Miller is the executive producer. But it just, making it about Sonic's bucket list, all of the things that he wants to do. It's the 2 things that I zeroed in on are the road trip and the bar fight, which are just kind of the same thing. But you just picked a fight with a poorly disguised hedgehog who's seen way too many action movies. That's it. Like, that should have just been the tagline of the movie, like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Poorly disguised hedgehog with who's seen too many action movies. And it was just so fun and so smart, and so small, but made it so real. And I just want to add, if Toyota doesn't make a version of that Tundra or Tacoma with a removable top, then they are failed. They're missing a missed opportunity.
Amazing.
You know, considering you brought up Sonic's bucket list, this is our second movie in a row that features bucket lists heavily.
Right.
This is movie executives knew what 2020 had in store for us, I guess, because they were like, hey, everyone, hey, kids, make a bucket list.
Make a bucket list, yeah.
Yeah.
What's a bucket list?
There you go.
Never
now we know.
kicked a bucket either.
I
love that this isn't a rave. I'm sorry to interrupt again, but it's like his cluelessness about the world.
Yeah.
It was just the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was. I'll talk about this more in a little bit, I imagine. But his earnestness was so. It was a major retooling of the character, but it works so well to make him earnest and the naivete that he has about the world in which he lives.
Yeah, it is. He's usually such an arrogant character, and for an origin story, I feel like it made it that much better.
Oh, of course. Sketch, you want to throw in your first rave? You kind of piggybacked around here.
Yeah, I mean, mine was going to be the faithfulness to the property, but I'll bump mine to Jim Carrey being back as Robotnik.
Oh my goodness!
I loved pretty much everything about him. I loved that Robotnik into Eggman was a progression as the movie went along, and then at the end we got like the true 100% classic video game Eggman at the end.
You ready for this?
It felt natural.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Mm-hmm.
On set for 4 days.
Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey.
For the whole movie? 4
days.
Wow. Well, he brought it in those 4 days.
He brought it. Oh my, Sketch, I could not agree more.
Is this his first property since being, let's call it AFK?
Yeah, he has been.
He's been doing like very artsy, like low budget. The last big thing he did was Kick-Ass 2, which he came out and did a lot of negative press for. Regretted being in that movie.
Yeah, he hated being in that.
Yeah, he didn't like the way it came out in the end. But this was such a return to the Jim Carrey of like his early career, and like he still got it. He is still a human cartoon character.
Yep.
I mean, so much of his performance must have just been Jim Carrey bouncing off the walls. Like when he's in his Mad Lab trailer, like, and all of the backgrounds behind skiing, running from the dinosaur.
Oh, that's
his
all
dance
Jim Carrey.
mix. You know, there was no augmented reality there for him to like be fiddling away from and like working his gloves.
Yeah.
That's just Jim Carrey interacting with himself.
Yeah, he's a physical actor.
I'd love
just brilliant
to piggyback on that, as we'll get my opinion on Robotnik later, but my opinion on Jim Carrey is that he was absolutely an asset. Nobody else could have pulled this off but him.
Yeah, so I strongly agree with that.
He was what had me the most excited to see this movie, and has me the even more most excited to see the sequel.
Yeah.
Now that he is full on Eggman.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was so smart the way they did it, because it would have been fucking ridiculous if Eggman showed up at his first scene is what he looks like in his last scene.
Right.
You would have been like, this movie is garbage. But the fact that he starts out as a believable asshole and then just ends up as this like insane, strangely physically grotesque individual, like trudging through the mushroom forest, like I believed where he ended up, like 100%.
He lost it over the course of that movie. Like,
I don't think he ever had it.
Well,
his arrogance and hatred of mankind, like
but it just took every piece of him apart, like emotionally.
Oh yeah.
And you believe the Robotnik. It's not just like he's become that, and because he has to wind up that way. You believe that the progression of his downfall at based on what he experiences in the movie
at the hands of a rodent.
at the ends of a rodent.
It's where the path leads him.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's got another
Carrey
rave?
was priceless.
Tim Hoshi, you got another rave?
I do have another rave.
Oh, do
And
share.
It may not ring true with hardcore Sonic fans, but one of the moments in the movie that just made me wow and just like, oh shit, like now he's serious, is when Sonic wakes up after getting blasted at the very end battle, where not just because Tom said he was my friend. I'm deciding in the lore in my own head, as Sonic decided to fight for what is important to him.
Yeah.
And the way he wakes up, and even the stance he has is the same stance he has in the video games and whatnot when he's supersonic.
Yeah.
I have other issues with part of that scene, but the feeling and the gravity of that moment for me was a huge rave.
The 100% absolute undisputed best visual of the entire movie is the close-up on Robotnik's face with the red goggles and Sonic glowing blue reflected in
that was a cover of one of the games or some that was an Easter egg, wasn't it? We've seen that image before. That's like a very classic image, I think.
I'm not sure personally. All I know is in the movie it was dead on perfect.
I feel you're right. I don't remember where I saw it, but it is very familiar.
Well, but I'm also wondering if that was foreshadowing to Shadow the Hedgehog.
Maybe.
Because it was like there in one eye, it was like the reflection of Sonic, and in the other eye, Sonic's eyes were had more of a red hue to it.
Well,
I just thought it was.
I'll check that out.
It's such a great image. I'm right there with you.
It's fantastic. It's just that scene where he decides, it really hit me emotionally. I was excited about it, and at the same time, I'm like, yeah, now he's the Sonic that we know.
I should start doing a thing. My favorite visual from every property we do.
You should.
Yeah, just my favorite visual. There you go, guys. That's the inaugural segment of Sketch's favorite visual. SFV.
There's too many acronyms in this world.
Not to be confused with SFMs. Shades False Memories.
I've got the image here. I'm going to do a screen share for you guys.
It's a whole different ballgame with screen sharing.
Right?
Thanks, COVID. Oh, look at that.
Is that a Shadow the Trail? Do you think that's a Shadow Easter egg?
It could be.
Look at that. It might be, because I never noticed that.
One has the blue aura that's Sonic, and the other one has a red aura that's clearly
very clearly Shadow.
It feels like
could be
a Shadow Easter egg.
Oh, now you guys gotta
visual.
Yeah, so let me sit back on my wait a minute. I'm still standing.
Yeah.
We only have 2 chairs.
We only have 2 chairs.
3, but I'm got my feet up.
It's a picnic table.
We got to have somewhere to put our legs.
Yep.
Can you at least put me back in the box?
Sexy blue fur legs. That's this episode, guys. Shades, do you have another rave?
I do. This one's a little meta, but the movie to me perfectly captured the experience of reaching midlife. If you haven't fucked up too badly, you've got a pretty good life. But there's this nagging in the back of your mind for what could have been or what you didn't do. And usually that kind of movie is really, really dark and angsty. And this was just really, really fun. And the whole movie is about, Tom is, I want to know what it's like to save someone's life. I want to know what it means to be a big city cop. But I mean, objectively, he's got a pretty fucking sweet life.
Everybody relies on him, as Sonic points out.
Exactly. He's the most indispensable person in Green Hills.
Probably because he's the only other sheriff of the brain.
You see, I somewhat disagree. So can we transition to rants?
Do you not have any more raves?
My other one was how faithful it was.
Awesome. Yeah, sure. Let's
give
us our first rant.
Okay.
I could rave for days about it, but
rave for days.
I just wanted to use that phrase. Thank you.
I've got rants and big questions, not many raves.
Hey LTLs, it's Shades here, and I just want to remind you that our sponsor this week, just like every week, is you, our longtime listeners. And you can become a sponsor of the show by heading over to patreon.com/shadesansketch, where you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. But right now, we are running our very new, very special Geeking Out Kids Club for adults who are basically still kids at heart. And you can go over to patreon.com/shadesansketch and sign up at that tier today. Guys, we thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on in the GoCo. Now, back to this week's episode.
See, I had an issue with Tom and Sonic and their argument about Tom leaving Green Hills. Well, because Sonic was treating it as if Tom was retreating. He was running away again. Obviously, because Sonic had hang-ups on that from when he had to run away from his original planet. But Tom was chasing a dream. He had a dream, and it was a pretty noble dream. And he wasn't running away from anything. He was running towards something. Now, I'm not defending either of them because I think they each had a point. It just frustrated the hell out of me that they never, rectified that Tom was never just but I'm going there because there's so many more people who need my help and I'm able to do it. And Sonic was never home is a state of mind. It's just who you're with or who you're protecting. It was just kind of just settled. Tom is back and hooray. But it would have been okay for Tom to relocate. It's okay and natural to leave your hometown if you're drawn somewhere else. And it just kept frustrating me. I kept feeling like a third party person listening to two people argue and being the third party going, you're both making points and you're just not seeing eye to eye. That's the difference here.
They weren't listening to each other.
Yeah, they weren't listening to each other. They were just speaking their point of view, but they weren't listening to the other one. It was just, and that is what they were doing.
For me, that actually made that whole conversation a lot more realistic.
Oh yeah, no, it was realistic. It was just realistically frustrating for me.
I know we're supposed to be ranting right now, but I did want to point out do you have your child in that bag was quite possibly the most and
that was the funniest thing in the entire
movie that anyone has ever done in a movie ever.
Yeah, taking a child in the bag into a building.
This is worse than the time you had me in that dog cage.
Yeah, that was without a doubt the funniest movie, and which is why I allowed the fact that they had no need to go into that
Sonic
building
could just run
and
up
take
the
the
building.
elevator up because it was already established that Sonic can run up these things. But because it gave us that scene, I was like, I'll allow it. That's fine. Not a rant then.
And for me, that scene actually is a rant. It bothered me.
Oh, okay.
It's not my official rant, but I absolutely hated that scene.
Why?
Every other part of the movie had some sort of realistic component to it. And then you have these two people at the elevator who are joined by two other businessmen who hear what they believe is a child talking in a bag.
Having worked in education for 13 years, I find that scene 100% totally believable. The number of times that students were smoking weed in a stairwell or brought something to school that they weren't supposed to have. I 100% believe that scene that these people just disregarded any responsibility they had in that moment to do anything and just walked away. Every administrator I ever worked for, ever.
There you go. And for me, it was just the funniest scene of the movie.
The quips were funny. It just the whole thing took me out of, it took me out of the movie because one, I'm going to abuse my power. I'm from Montana. I'm a sheriff, but you still
and
let
that
me
was
upstairs.
the first time he had ever like abused.
This
his
says you're
cop
from
power,
Montana. That's how serious.
And
this
admitted that
you just saved
That's
a
how
life.
serious.
have a
You just
Persian
saved a
pancake
life.
out there. It's just that whole thing bothered me because, like, being a bystander, if I was in her shoes, I'd
Again,
be like, no,
I
you're
know
not.
we're
Get the
supposed to
hell
be
out.
ranting, but I loved that in that scene, everything he said was the absolute truth. He didn't lie once when he
once again, it's bringing it back to Onward. The way to make the deception
truth.
work
Yep,
is to just only tell the truth. No.
Yeah, is that your child in that? It's fine. He likes it.
That's true.
Oh no, it's not my child.
Oh no.
Again,
That's
funny
fair.
scene, but it took me out of the movie.
Okay, I took a rant and Shades made a rave. Tim, do you have a rant?
Robotnik.
Really?
You didn't like Robotnik,
I absolutely
Really?
hated Robotnik.
but not in the way that you're supposed to hate him.
Right.
You hated him
I
as a
didn't hate
character.
him because he was the bad guy. I hated his character.
Wow.
And this is from, again, my background with Sonic.
Mhm.
In the way I perceive Robotnik as a character.
Mhm.
Yes, Robotnik's kind of goofy. He's shaped like a giant egg with little sticks coming out of him. I get it.
Is.
But he's a bad guy.
Mhm.
And I've always taken him as a serious bad guy in the games. And he's never that goofy. Now, could anybody?
Are you talking about end Robotnik that we eventually see?
No, I'm talking very specifically.
Yeah.
You know, his goofy moments where he, like when he was talking to the army guy who was in charge of the original
Damien Dark.
Damien Dark.
Yeah. He a little too goofy, but it was believable because he was trying to belittle the guy. Okay, I got it. Now we're in Robotnik's lair, for lack of a better term, his mobile lab, and he's dancing around and he's spinning and he's playing around and he's like, that's not Robotnik. He doesn't do that.
Yeah. God damn it. Robotnik befriends small, speedy hedgehogs and then mutates to form with an egg. Damn it.
But like, Robotnik's a screw up and he's a goofball. But
he wasn't a screw up or a goofball. He met his match. It didn't matter how smart he was.
No. I mean, in the game, like he's klutzy. He makes the robots who end up not even listening to him.
Well, he's half egg.
Well, yeah, he's half egg. He's underdeveloped.
Did you guys rehearse that while I was gone?
No, that was just natural.
But for me, Robotnik himself, not Jim Carrey, not Jim Carrey's Robotnik, but just the goofiness that was added to him really took out some of the. He's not really a threat. He's just an arrogant asshole. Like, he's not really a genius. He's just some guy who hates humanity. That suits half of humanity. It took away some of the genius Robotnik, where he's busy being goofy, when they could have just had him do the music to focus on studying the quill.
Fair enough. It's a fair point. I was pretty much 100% on board with every aspect of Robotnik. I loved his tech. I love that his drones looked like eggs, and that's why Sonic eventually called him Eggman. Like, I was on board. The dance was a little silly. Wasn't enough to take me out. I was still on board. So I respect your rant.
I also
but I can't get on board
rant,
with it.
Which is fine.
But I respect it.
But that's why it's a conversation.
That's fine.
We'll save it. Can I get a rant?
My second rant is
it's the same. It's the same rant.
It's still kind of about Robotnik, but
okay,
kind of, but not really.
No, go for it. If it's connected to Robotnik, do it.
Yeah, do it. Do it up.
It might also border on a big Q.
Okay.
So I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
A rant is anything that takes you out of the movie, and Robotnik's truck, all of his driving robots looked like they were recycled Transformers. Like the cab, like his rig, I'm pretty sure was the evil Optimus Prime from the third movie. It was like an all jet black version of Optimus Prime, and then like the driving one with the scoop ram on the front of it that kept turning into other things. I'm pretty sure those were just like recycled Michael Bay Transformers.
I laughed so hard, but I didn't consider it the funniest part of the movie because this was not intentional. I laughed so hard when I realized they were doing
sequence. Yes,
the Batman ninja sequence, where every mech that was going to get destroyed was going to turn into a smaller mech. I was like, "Oh my god, this is Batman Ninja!" And that's the most enjoyment I've gotten out of Batman Ninja is like seeing it show up somewhere else.
Again, I feel like I'm dangerously.
He just had another baby.
Pretty sure that robot just had a baby. Supposed to be ranting. So I will say, and this is not the fault of the movie. This is 100% on me. It's still really weird to me not to hear Jalil's voice when it's Sonic the Hedgehog, even though I recognize that version of Sonic is inherently unlikable. Like he's so arrogant and so sarcastic that it's not a fun character to listen to, and would not have worked. This movie would not have worked if it was that sarcastic Jaleel White Sonic the Hedgehog. And I watched Sonic X, so I've heard other versions, but still not hearing his Sonic is jarring to me, even though his Sonic was ridiculous. It took me out. It's still a jarring experience to me. Maybe by the time the sequel rolls around, I'll be more okay with it. But Ben Schwartz is so dangerously close to Ryan Reynolds. It was like it was just a little too close to me. Even though it was great and I liked it. Yeah, it was, and Pikachu. Clearly that's what they were going for.
I didn't even realize it was Ben Schwartz until I saw the credits at the end, because the only other thing I know Ben Schwartz from is John Ralphio on Parks and Recreation. So that when I was like, holy shit, that was Ben Schwartz. He did a good job of.
He's also in the Lego Movie too.
Is he?
I think.
Who is he in the Lego Movie?
I have no idea, but that's the only thing I know him from.
Oh, okay.
I'll agree with you, Shades. But it wasn't enough for me to be a rant. I took it and just weaved it in my head as this is a much younger Sonic than we're used to.
Sketch, you got another rant?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do. Okay, the movie really wanted to have that classic emotional scene at the end where the town shows up to save the sheriff. But I don't think they worked in enough foundation for that to pay off at the end, because we only ever were told. We never really saw Tom doing the grunt work. We never felt as the audience like, oh, he's being taken advantage of or disrespected. So the emotional payoff on that scene.
I will agree with that 100%. Because we hear how important he is to the town, but Sonic has been watching his every movement for what appears to be years. And so like he doesn't, Sonic's name for him is Donut Lord because he talks to donuts and eats them when they get out of line. I know, right? And that tells us everything we need to know about this character. For then the town to turn out and be like, that's our sheriff. I'm led to believe that Tom has never interacted with anyone in town because he only ever talks to the donuts.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Yeah.
I was like mad in that because I was like, oh, movie, you didn't earn this. You didn't earn this big, let's all rally behind the sheriff moment.
I really feel like And not only that, but they shouldn't have been there. They didn't know what was going on. Even if they did, if it even took that long, because it did go from day to night. In that
that was another thing I wrote down, which I was like dangerously close to a rant because
it was
literally day to night.
And space-time continuum.
Editing. But just to finish mine up, what especially makes it a rant is that to fix it, all you needed was like a 5-minute montage, and you needed no CGI for that montage. It would have just been Tom doing like grunt work, like where you would look at it and be like, "This isn't what a cop
instead
does."
they gave us a throwaway scene with him in a barn. Oh, Tom, great, you're here! Like Betsy's gonna deliver that calf.
Or like all the things that Sonic told, he told to Sonic in the car ride. I'm there to jumpstart the cars. Like, if anything, I feel like it was almost like, here you go, Wade. Here's your moment.
Yeah, it was definitely a chance to give Wade his moment.
I believe you mean Super Observant Carl.
Yes. To prove,
just give me that chainsaw, Carl.
He must have been, because I'm pretty sure Super Observant Carl doesn't have a TV, and yet he knew exactly where everybody was.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to defend Tom, but I'm going to defend him in a BQ coming up, because I have a doozy of a BQ. But I will say though, we do know though that Tom is pretty good in town, because when the power goes out and Wade is trying to figure out what to do,
he's the guy to get the generator and bring it to the
call so and so down, get the generator, bring it to the food place, make sure nothing's like he's a capable.
Good? Yeah. Is he good and capable, or is he the only person there?
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Well, it felt more like that's what they were depositing, like backwoods Hicktown, and he's the
sharpest tool in the shed.
I've
got one more rant that could also be a big question. Does anyone have any other rants?
Okay, mine's the same way. My rant develops into a big question.
Should we transition into
look at this
BQs and see if we can get some big A's?
Yeah, let's see if we can answer some of these BQs.
Can I go first?
BQs.
Okay.
Yeah, you're up.
And I'll preface the question with, how did this movie get a PG-13 rating when... I'm sorry, a PG rating. Sorry. How did this movie get a PG rating when clearly so many people were brutally incinerated in fiery death on the streets of San Francisco?
Yeah, Robotnik killed a lot of people.
The bus,
especially the bus that he flies through, driving on the street, all exploded. And there is legitimately a terrorist attack on San Francisco that centers on... the media says is perpetrated by Sheriff Wachowski, and thousands die. There's no mention of this, and he's just allowed to resume his life in Green Hills as the sheriff, no less.
Like, not only that, but like none of it ever happened.
Thousands of people died.
That?
Guys, I have been telling you this for years in my Pixar theory.
Big government. So, they used magic.
I hate to say I told you so. This movie deposits a world in which the government just hides everything. They bought Tom off at the end for his silence.
Your family.
50
to Olive Garden. When you're there, your family. Have you ever had their ending possible? It never ends.
Kind of excited about that possible.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It is. You're right that it borderlines on a rant because it is so unbelievable. I don't have an answer for you. I don't have an answer for you. Other than it's just like it wraps up.
There's just too many people to silence to say that it never happened.
Yeah, I agree.
My rant / big Q, actually, yours rolls well into mine.
Okay.
And it might help with your answer. Okay. So, as I had mentioned before, Robotnik is a huge rant of mine. Round 2 of my Robotnik hate is he really the best they got?
Yeah, like, I think that was a dig. That was like such a dig at the government. That was just...
We send in one army guy to be like, oh, look, the power's out. We need the best of the best. And they have this big table meeting.
He handled that thing in Azerbaijanistan. That's not a real country. You're right. It's not. You can thank Robotnik.
You can thank Robotnik. I get it. You're trying to establish he's important and he's smart, but it's like,
yeah, that was probably like the most cartoony aspect of the movie.
Like we just need an in for Robotnik. So my big question is Robotnik really the best they've got? Like, is the government that inept in this world?
I will deposit 2 answers for you. You can take either or you can take neither. Okay. 1, Robotnik has manipulated the data, the online data, so much that the government truly does believe he is the best that they have. Or 2, Robotnik, just like he told the army guy he was going to reveal his search history, it has dirt on them. Those are my 2 big A's.
I'm going to take them and use them both.
Tim Hoshi, I'm just going to say, like, are you unaware of what we're currently living through? Like, clearly he is the best that the government has to offer at the moment.
Yes, I'm unaware. I'm a suit of armor still.
His drone technology was beyond compare with anything else.
Where did they get that battery life? I mean,
I know, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
But other than that, like as a person and as a strategist, not so good.
Where are your tax dollars going?
That was the best line of the movie. Have you ever wondered where your tax dollars are going? That was the best line of the movie.
My favorite line is where he's like, suddenly you're somebody's best man, you have weddings out of town, and who has time for that shit?
Yeah. Robotnik, for an orphan who's always distanced himself from society, he has like a lot of like annoyances with like everyday average people.
That was so specific.
All right, let me ask my big question, which was almost a rant, because it was so unbelievable to me. Is Rachel, you know Rachel? Rachel was what was her name? Maddie. Yes. Maddie was the wife,
and Rachel was her sister.
Rachel's her sister. Is Rachel racist? Because I cannot figure out why she does not like Tom. Why she always wants Maddie to divorce Tom. There is no reason that those two shouldn't be together. They look like they have a very healthy, strong relationship. There's the line where Rachel is like, no, I'm going to move for you. I'm going to sacrifice because when I was going to vet school, what did you do? You took a second job to pay the rent. And what did you do? You took a third job to pay my tuition.
Tom is a great guy.
Tom's a great guy. Rachel, where were you while she was going to school? You're going to sit there and judge Tom? Oh, that's why it was almost a rant for me, because I was like, Rachel, you don't know a good man from your hand in front of your face.
I have an
Tom
answer.
Tom was such a good guy.
Practical answer.
Okay.
She is jealous of their relationship. She has no partner and she's raising a child by herself. And she's taking it out on Tom because clearly they split their time between Green Hills and San Francisco, like that she's there often enough. Like San Francisco is like, there's clearly more to the story that left. And I think if Tom wasn't in Green Hills, they would have already lived in San Francisco and she would be helping to raise her child.
See, which would be, you know, where that would have fit in perfectly. Like Tom explaining that to Sonic when he was like, no, Sonic, I'm not leaving Green Hills. I am going because Maddie's lived with me in Green Hills for 20 years. Now I'm going to go. I will say that Rachel had my favorite line of the movie, which was when JoJo was running around like crazy and she was tied up and she said, at least put on my Fitbit, get me some steps. I was like, that I relate to. That is the one that hits home to me.
Yes, it does.
Oh, but it made me so mad how
I think
how
it's
much
because
she did not like Tom.
she sees it as, and I'm reading a lot into this situation, but I see it as Tom took Maddie away from San Francisco, and like this support system away from her. Because clearly the daughter is like very close
How dare
to Maddie
he?
and Tom, almost more so
they're very close.
than her mother.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see, originally the big question could have been like, Tom,
Right,
why
yeah.
San Francisco? Like, if you want to make a difference, sure, San Francisco's a city, and it has the Golden Gate Bridge, which is probably going to take place.
It seemed like in an earlier version of the movie, San Francisco figured much more heavily into the story. And then maybe that was a byproduct of like, oh, wait, here's a perfect opportunity for the Green Hill Zone. You start in Green Hill Zone.
Yeah. Well, Rachel, I'm addressing you right now in this podcast. Maybe the reason Tom took her to Montana is because while she was in veterinary medical school, he had to take a second job to pay rent, and rent's a lot cheaper out in Montana, in San Francisco, and you weren't kicking in. And then he took a third job to even pay the tuition. So give Tom a chance is all I'm saying.
I'm just trying to think back to like jobs that were available to us. Like, what could he have done as a third job to pay the tuition bill on veterinary school? That's insane.
Yeah.
Electric company and gas station, because it's veterinary school.
We don't know that. We don't know that she did vet school in Green Hills. She took the dog to San Francisco with her.
Yeah, she took Ozzy with her to San Francisco. I assume so that the dog wasn't on the scene for the big bullet riddling. And to avoid the big question,
they're painting the house a different color. And I realize it was like shot up by drones and they're fixing it, but it's almost like the house did not really have a feminine touch to it before that. I didn't think so.
Oh, no, you didn't think so? I thought it had.
Yeah.
I feel like they never intended to stay.
Wow. Okay. I was super jealous of that kitchen. Yeah.
Was.
Yeah. So, but Tom was definitely from Green Hills because there's been whatever his last name protecting the town for 50 years, which is really just him and his dad.
Yeah.
Not a huge lineage, but
enough.
Enough, if you think of...
I mean, technically, it could be him, his dad, and his granddad.
Could be.
How long has he really been a sheriff?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say just to make it work, like 20 years, and his dad was it for 30 years.
All right.
But I believe his dad was the police officer there for life, but maybe his grandfather put some time in beforehand. But his grandfather didn't start there. No. His grandfather transferred in. So I mean, lineage is lineage, but not like Tom. You're breaking 6 generations of cops. You're moving on from where your dad was. Okay.
You're going to be a real cop.
Any other BQs?
I have one left.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Was literally a big question on my list until they asked it in the movie. As soon as they asked it in the movie, why did we let Sonic drive? I was like, all right, movie, fair enough. You're self-aware. I won't list that as a big question, but why? Yeah, and it was
because
that wasn't the truck.
No, it wasn't.
That was Rachel's comeuppance.
I feel
and
like
I love comeuppance. Yeah, probably.
No.
Apparently not.
No.
She's still getting her. Oh yeah, she did have to go to the bathroom, didn't she?
She's still getting her steps.
She's still getting her steps, though. Yeah. Tim Hoshi, you got another BQ?
I do. I have a very big BQ.
Oh, a big BQ.
Because it steps out of bounds of the movie a little bit.
Okay.
So to me, it's a big Q.
It's a bigger Q.
It's capital Q.
Capital Q.
So out of the list of planets that are safe for Sonic,
Mhm.
the Mushroom Planet
Mhm.
is a safe planet for Sonic.
Mhm.
And Sonic really hates it.
He does.
Is the Mushroom Planet a reference to Super Mario World?
It was my first thought when I saw it. I mean, it's a very deliberate decision to go Mushroom World. Was there a mushroom themed planet or level in any of the Sonics?
Nope.
Okay, well
I mean,
then,
you might have bounced off a mushroom, maybe.
Yeah.
But no.
Mhm.
It's a barren wasteland of fungus.
Yeah. So I just want to be
Ooh.
clear. We're depositing a theory in which the Sonic the Hedgehog movie 2020 is a direct sequel to the 90s Super Mario Brothers movie, and that somewhere Dr. Robotnik will find the shriveled skeletal remains of John Leguizamo. Oh, she's great. Yeah. They really did one over on her.
That's right. Instant
Talk about
fossilization.
Those are
Instant,
comeuppance.
yeah.
You know what?
Instant fossilized.
Other than my favorite visual from every movie, I should probably also include my favorite comeuppance from every movie, because I love comeuppance. And that was my big issue in Willow. Is that
there are no comeuppance?
Well, there are comeuppance, but there's a guy in Willow who deserved comeuppance, and all he did was get shit in the mouth.
Yeah.
And he needed more comeuppance than that. Yeah. That's like, but I needed that in the movie. I need to see it. I don't need that off screen.
I do. Because yep, I was wondering it myself. I needed confirmation. Thank you very much.
It's going to be my OSC system, my on-screen comeuppance system. It's going to be a new rating scale I do. Yep. Sure. Yeah, not even a mention. Mm-hmm.
It's not the world that Sonic's in.
Mm-hmm. Or with Tails. Because I would tie them to Tails coming through. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's possible, and maybe it's a plot device they have planned to what Robotnik uses to come back.
Ooh, that's
one
possible.
Of the Chaos Emeralds. Because I feel like, Sonic was sent to Earth when he was so little, he probably doesn't even know about him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was on the border
of
a big question. Like, Sonic is so important that some creature fox thing that he's never met shows up and is looking for him and has a device that is tuned to his specific energy signature to find him.
I would assume there. I'll take a stab at this. I would assume that after he used his speed on his island, those what are they, Tim Hoshis? The Knuckles creatures?
The echidnas.
The
I thought you
echidnas.
were talking to more than one of me. I was like, it's just my suit of armor, right?
Just all of you.
Guess I'm plural. I'm
Talk of that power must have spread.
Well, that's why the echidnas were there. And it's actually...
And it's been, 10 years since...
it's like
since Sonic left?
It's unspoken, but it's established he's about 15.
Yeah, and so you know how legend grows over time, and then maybe there are quills left over on that island, and Tails could use that because he's the tech guy.
Perhaps. I was also toying with the idea of Tails is detecting the rank signature, because I feel like Robotnik did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Sonic was shot and he dropped the ring, Robotnik shows up 20 minutes later saying he detected the signature, but Sonic wasn't running.
Interesting.
I'm wondering if it's the rings they're tracking.
Interesting. I like that. These are all great big questions. Hopefully they'll be answered in the sequel.
I'm all down for this. I'm
You done?
What's the phrase you guys use? I'm all in.
You're all in?
All in, yeah.
Yeah.
All
Sorry, I think
all in.
I think that blood seal's getting a little
faded.
Yeah.
So I got some ketchup here.
We'll let you
Ketchup?
out of here one way or another.
Yeah.
Is there iron in ketchup? Wait a minute, what?
I guess that brings us to Shades and Sketch recommendations. Yeah, there you go.
Special guest Tim Hoshi.
Tim Hoshi, do you have a recommendation or a plug that you want to make, or a recommendation, or both?
I won't plug because I've been very unfaithful to my own podcast.
There's still a back catalog, though, which is very good.
There's a back catalog, and I do very much enjoy Hidden Histories. It's just there's
real life.
Children. Yeah, exactly. Working from home is surprisingly difficult.
It is.
It is.
But I do have
everybody
a recommendation I'd love to share. While you're at home, I'd like to recommend the 7 Deadly Sins manga.
Ooh, the manga specifically.
Or manga, depending upon
if you're right or wrong. Mm-hmm.
Yes, if you're right or wrong. Thank you. Shades 2.0.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, the 2.0 part adds the if you're right option.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Specifically the manga for 2 reasons. Well, actually one big reason.
Okay.
It finished.
Oh, cool.
The TV series is in limbo, but the TV series on Netflix is how I discovered it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So just to give you guys a quick synopsis, the 7 Deadly Sins were once a group of knights in a region of Britannia, and I don't mean historic Britannia. It's completely a fictional scenario, but we do see characters like Merlin and King Arthur. And they were disbanded supposedly after plotting to overthrow the Lion's Kingdom. Their supposed defeat came at the hands of the Holy Knights, but rumors are continuing to persist that they're alive. And the series goes through the 7 Deadly Sins themselves and some of their backstory, which is really a full circle continuation of their lives. And it's a fabulous TV series. The movie was okay. The second season was a little rushed, but absolutely loved the manga, and I highly suggest reading it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the series, so I will definitely give the manga a shot.
There you go. 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
There you go. And there's also a game on the Play Store for it too now. If you're a big
cool.
fan. It follows the whole storyline.
The manga line or the show line?
So far, the show line.
Cool.
And all the original voice actors came together for it.
Oh, nice. I love when they do that.
I do too. So that's my rec.
Very good.
Excellent.
Shades, you got a rec for us this week?
I do. And so I'm trying to recommend things that will last you. And so here's my recommendation. And if you guys have seen this, feel free to chime in. There is a special on Netflix, Oh Hello, starring George St. Geegland and Gil Faison, charmed I'm sure, which is John Mulaney and Nick Kroll Broadway show that they did parodying Martin Short and Steve Martin's An Evening You Will Forget for the Rest of Your Life, which is a tour that they did. And they play octogenarians who are talking about their lives as a legendary quote unquote playwright and a Tony Award viewing actor. And they have created a podcast to continue this story that they're perpetuating, that they're releasing right now. And it's Oh Hello, the podcast, and or Die Town, which is this story, their relationship. They're going through the events led up to, quote unquote, going through the events that led up to the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, the Pdcast. And I find the best way to watch Oh Hello, the special, is interspersed in 10-minute chunks of watching Steve Martin and Martin Short's An Evening You Will Soon Forget for the Rest of Your Life back to back. And then when you're finished with that, listening to the podcast of Oh Hello and or Die Town. And it's just so fun because Mulaney and Kroll are so good off each other. These characters are fantastic. And the way in which they parody podcasts and podcast culture is so smart, so brilliant, and so amazing. They've even roped Ira Glass and Sarah Koenig in on it. And they've gotten permission to, quote unquote, steal and use the Serial podcast music and also the Crime Town podcast music. And in the middle of an interview they're doing with someone, like they had John Oliver, and they asked, if Princess Diana were alive today, would Brexit have happened? And John Oliver's about to give this amazing answer, and they cut to fake commercials that they just record over the answer for ridiculous things like Subway or Quiznos or Bic pens or just ridiculous things. And I cannot recommend it more. I love listening to it. Nick Kroll and John Mulaney are fantastic. And these characters that they've created for themselves are perfect representations of parodies of like Steve Martin, Martin Short, and quote unquote I look like Steven Spielberg if he hadn't made any money. Gil Faison, charmed I'm sure. And so I will recommend the Oh Hello universe, and by proxy, Steve Martin and Martin Short, A Night You Will Forget for the Rest of Your Life.
There you go. All right. I guess it's my turn.
Sketch, what do you got? What's your recommendation?
My recommendation, it's good. It's good that Shades will take you a little while, because mine, you're going to have to wait until this is all over.
Oh no.
My recommendation is,
that could be a long time, Sketch.
It could be, but we have to
look way forward to.
Yeah, we have to look forward to things. So my recommendation is going on a good old fashioned American road trip, because this movie really
Still do that.
This
Just not leave
movie,
the car.
yeah, that's the issue. This movie really, like when they're traveling from Montana to San Francisco, I was getting all the goosebumps. I was remembering some of my trips out on the open road, and there's nothing like it. And if you're someone who flies to all your destinations, make it a point to do a road trip, because it's a completely different way to travel. You experience a lot more local, average, like in the good way, average culture, like just of the average American person. And you'll see some pretty amazing stuff and make some really fantastic memories. So I think find a destination you want to go to. Route a route that you want to go while you're sitting at home not doing much, and then once this all blows over, get in the car, gas it up, and go.
And you can listen to Oh Hello, the Pdcast while you drive.
Or Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch.
Or Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch. Or Hidden Histories. Plenty of time.
So,
but you got to wait, because otherwise, once you get to where you're going, you're just going to have to turn around and go home.
Yeah. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast yet, but I was supposed to. We had another road trip planned for this upcoming summer. No idea if that's going to happen. I really hope it will, but who knows at this point. But I'm also excited to get back on the road and do stuff, because once things open back up, they're going to need business.
Yes.
And people going back out there and back into things. So I'm like double anxious to get back out on the road. So there you go. My recommendation, good old American road trip.
I'd love to take one day.
You should. Even a short one.
Elise and I were toying about doing one now, and just bringing our tent and camping.
Sure.
There you go.
You can do that.
Seeing what there is to see.
Yeah. There's some amazing things to see out in this country. Or I'm sure your country, wherever you're from.
Wherever it is that you're listening from, longtime listeners.
But we're in America, and I'm up to 45 of our 50 states.
Wow.
I got 5 more to do.
Look at that.
3 of them are going to be this summer, but
just going to call you the road warrior.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been
Does
fun.
Canada count as a state? Because
No.
I've been to 3 then.
No, it does not.
But that's great.
It was back when it was essentially a state, because you could just cross the border.
Yeah, back when it was easier.
Yeah.
It's going across the border isn't the hard part. It's coming back. That's difficult.
Yeah, got to prove it. You got to prove it, Tim Hoshi.
Not back then.
Guys, anything you want to take with you from
Tim Hoshi? Anything you want to take from Sonic the Hedgehog? There has to be.
Well, those rings I tripped on, I'm taking one of those rings and I'm going back to where I belong with it.
That is like fair. You finally have a way back.
That is.
I'm not spending any, no offense, more time in the GoCo. Everything echoes in there. I can't take the sound anymore.
Well, we appreciate the sacrifice, but I think at this point it's okay to let the DCEU crumble.
Yeah. I guess we needed a pure soul. It just didn't work out.
You did. It was a good effort.
Good effort.
Good effort, Tim.
It was a good effort that I didn't originally want to be part of.
That's okay.
You just dragged me through the gate. I've been trapped in this armor all this time, and
all for nothing.
All for nothing.
Yeah, I'm immortal.
Shades, anything you want to bring with you from the Sonic franchise?
I'm going to take this heavily, barely running, but oh so beautiful Toyota Tacoma.
Let the wind blow through your hair.
Toyota half top.
Toyota half top.
You could use that on a good old American road trip.
I plan to. And I think it's got a lot of miles left in it.
That absolutely does.
Good old fashioned road trip.
The damage it took was all superficial.
Yeah. Who needs a radio or electrical system or windshield, doors?
You didn't used to need those things. It's time to get back to our roots.
There you go.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Sketch, you gonna take anything with you?
Well, I'll tell you.
What are you taking?
I'll tell you. The government would like me to take this $50 gift card to Olive Garden for my silence, but the sketch theory will not go down. So instead, I'm going to take this latte with steamed Austrian goat milk because I love the way you make them.
You know, if we were more with it, we probably would have taken that Sonic quill to power the GoCo.
Would have been smart.
I guess we'll just have to
perpetual power anyway.
I guess we'll just have to keep burning force sensitive trees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yep.
That would have been the smart bet, but I'm happy with my decision.
I don't even like lattes, but
I was gonna say, don't you not drink coffee?
Actually, I've been getting into iced lattes because they're basically adult milkshakes.
Basically, yeah.
You kind of get funny looks if you walk around town with like a full milkshake as a in their 30s-year-old man. But like no one bats an eye at an iced latte. And
I
it's
love
like
that.
the same thing, everyone. It's just a little thinner.
I love that.
Hey, just a side thought. I know I can't have them, but did those wings you guys ordered ever come?
Oh, hey, still waiting on those wings.
We are still waiting on those wings.
The service
Seems
at
to
this
happen to
bar
you guys a lot.
is terrible.
To be fair, this is not their pick.
Oh, we just lost you again.
Gone again.
We just lost you again. What the hell?
I bet that was the best comment too.
I bet we'll never know what he was going to say.
You know what? You should keep it that way and just have the sound of the rings scattering, like he got hit by something.
Still nothing. Still nothing. Just unplug it and finish that way.
Oh, hello?
Oh, yeah, we got you.
Hello.
We got you.
I'm back, everybody.
I think you're on your speakers. Okay.
Yeah, I know I am.
Oh, okay. What was that last bit?
I don't even remember.
Longtime listeners, write in with the end of Sketch's thought.
It's probably government something.
Sketch is slowly turning into one of those like freedom fighter militiaists who aren't like, quote unquote, we're not plotting to take down the government. We're just ready if they come for us.
Blame Pixar. That's where it all started for me.
I hate to cut you guys short, but I'm gonna use one of these rings now. I'd really like to get
Thanks
back.
for joining us, Tim Hoshi.
Thank you so much for joining us, Tim Hoshi. It was so glad to be here with you virtually at a distance through your armor and our helmet.
Tim Hoshi.
Yeah.
Social distancing since episode 15.
Is that blue guy around? He's got to show me how these rings work. I'll
just
talk
think
to you guys later.
think of where you need to go, and they take you there.
Should I think about the gate then, and I get my body back?
There you go. Longtime listeners, we'll see you.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Next time. Bye.
If you'd like to take a more active role in supporting Geeking Out, visit us at patreon.com/shadesansketch.
Our website is shows.acast.com/geekingout.
You can email the show at gowithshadesansketch@gmail.com or contact us through Facebook or Twitter.
Geeking Out is a production of Tree Cave Creative, LLC. All rights reserved, 2020.